Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen. Amma ba'd fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. As-salatu wa salamu alayka ya Rasulallah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Habiballah. As-salatu wa salamu alayka ya Nabiyallah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Nurallah. Welcome back to the program of Lessons of Sarf. And Alhamdulillah Azza wa Jal, we started this initiative and the feedback I have received from you all has been mesmerizing. It has been overwhelming, Alhamdulillah. Jazakumullahu khaira to one and all. And the intention is to continue this. And of course, some have requested that 3-4 lessons a week, but that is going to be difficult. But we will try to do as many as possible. 2 to 3 a week I can try to push, inshallah, because we need to start Nahv as well. So as few lessons of Sarf continue, we will inshallah also begin the series of Nahv. So Alhamdulillah, a short recap. In the previous lesson, in the previous episode, we covered the topic of Sarf, we covered the benefit of Sarf, why we study Sarf, and we covered the element of what is the subject of Sarf. Definition of Sarf is clear, topic of Sarf Alhamdulillah has been clear, and the purpose of learning Sarf had been clear as well. One thing which we, Allahu Akbar, one thing which we studied was the topic of Sarf. And the topic of Sarf which we had done was that the topic of Sarf is Kalimah. So every subject, everything has its topic, and you need a topic to basically play around that certain subject. So the subject of Sarf, subject of Sarf is Kalimah. Now, Kalimah, in a very short manner, in a very easy to understand manner, we understood it as a word. Kalimah means word. But now, words also have categories. So there are different categories of words, and the category which we focus on are the words with meanings, the words which have meanings. And now when we talk about a kalima, it is distributed into 2 types. One is a kalima which is used, and one is a kalima which is not usually used, meaning, or one with the meaning and the one without a meaning, without meaning. So as what we are focused on is those which have meanings, so we will continue talking about those which have meanings. And the further detail of this, the one having a meaning and the one not having a meaning, inshallah we will do in detail in the subject of Nahv. So now when we talk about Kalimah, so Kalimah has 3 essentials. Kalimah again means word, and a word has 3 essentials, and those 3 essentials are ism, fi'l and harf. Now what is the ism, what is the fi'l, and what is the harf? So you will also be seeing the definitions on the screen. But as I mentioned earlier, terminologies have to be remembered. Ism, in a normal understanding, ism means a noun. Ism means a noun. Fi'l means a verb, which we also did in the previous episode. That ism means noun, fi'l means verb, and then there is one thing which is known as harf, which means particle. So ism means noun, fi'l means verb, harf means particle. In short, any word in the Arabic language you see has to fall in either of these categories, 1, 2 or 3. So ism, noun, fi'l, verb, harf, particle. I hope you keep these terminologies in your mind as well. And yes, it reminds me, in the previous episode there was an exercise, a very small exercise. Have you done it? Have you done the exercise? If you haven't done it, please complete the exercise, inshallah. You can actually even send it to me through the email address. You can see the email address on the screen as well. So you can share your exercise with us, because today as well we have an exercise which I really want you to do. It will help you a lot. So ism, fi'l and harf, alhamdulillah, these are the 3 main categories of a kalima. Now if we come into them, to dig into them, then what actually do they mean? Ism is the first category, and ism in a general understanding, in a simple understanding, we understood it as noun. And fa'il, we understood it as verb, but there is more to it. So basically when we talk about an ism, a word which gives its meaning on its own. A word, okay, it is a word, we know about that, gives its meaning on its own. All right, this too we understood, but it has a third element as well, without being joined with a tense. Okay, this is the pet meaning of ism. You can also see in the notebook, which was also shared in the link you can also find in the description. Ism is that kalimah which itself explains its meaning. There is no need to add another word to understand its meaning, and it does not have any tense. For example, the word rajulun. Okay, we are talking about ism here. Rajulun is an example of ism. Rajulun means a man. A man is a noun. It is a noun. So when it is said rajulun, immediately you understand it means a man, and a man is enough to give its meaning on its own. If I say a board, it is enough to give its meaning on its own. If I say a pen, it is enough to give its meaning on its own. It is not associated with any tense. So that's the meaning of ism. Now the meaning of fa'il. Fa'il is also very, very simple. Fa'il is same as above. Same as above. Same as above, with a slight change. And that slight change is that it carries a tense. It carries a tense. Now, what tense does it carry? It can either be past tense, present tense, or future tense. So when we talk about ism, ism is such a kalimah, because we branched off from kalimah. Ism is such a kalimah which gives its meaning on its own without being associated with any tense. For example, rajulun. Rajulun means man, and when it is said rajulun, or when it is said man, so you don't need a tense to understand that word. That word is basically explaining itself. But when you come to the words like daraba, he hit. So when it is said that he hit, or when it is said kataba, that he wrote, so these words carry a tense in them. So the difference between ism and fa'il is that fa'il is exactly as ism, but with the difference that it carries a tense. Ism without tense, and a fa'il with tense. Ism gives full meaning, fa'il gives full meaning. Ism gives meaning without tense, fa'il gives its meaning with tense. So to understand fa'il, we said that the example daraba. Daraba. Daraba means he hit. So when it is said that he hit, that simply means that this has a tense. This has a tense. But if I say, for example, ila, or if I say, for example, ala, or if I say, for example, min, ila, ala, or min, you might be seeing on the screens as well, ila, ala, and min. What are these? Ila means to, ala means on, min means from. When I said rajulun, which means a man, you understood a word, but that word, to understand that word, there was no need of any tense. But when I said daraba, he hit, you understood a word. You did not need anything else to explain that word. It gave its meaning on its own. But the difference was that it has a tense in it. But when I have said ila, ala, min, which are ila to, ala upon, min from. So for example, if I say man, so you get something. Or if I say that he hit, you understood something. But when I say to, what do you understand? If I say from, what do you understand? What meaning exactly are you getting from it? From where? From what? From who? You don't understand. So basically, in min, ala and ila, these are classified as harf. Harf. These are classified as harf. Harf translates to particle, meaning a supporting character. A supporting character. Now, in a nutshell, in a very easy example to understand a harf. Okay, before that, what is the definition of harf? I've explained what is harf, but how do you define harf? So the define harf is very simple. We define ism as such a kalimah which gives its meaning on its own without being associated with any tenses. Fi'l, such a kalimah which gives its meaning on its own but it is associated with a tense. And harf is such a kalimah which does not give its meaning on its own unless it is associated with a tense. Now I will explain all this in a single example, and inshallah the entire lesson will become very, very clear to you. For example, if I write I have written sirtu minal basra. Now this is minal because I have joined it, but the correct way is min. But because when I'm joining it, so I will make it as minal basrati ilal kufa. I traveled from Basra to Kufa. I traveled. There is number one, sirtu, number one. Then you have min. Min is number two. And then you have al-Basra. Al-Basra is number 3. And then you have ila. Ila is number 4. And then al-Kufa is number 5. So you have 5 words here. You have sirtu, you have min, you have al-Basra, you have ila, you have Kufa. So 5 words we have here. So basically we have 5 kalimas here. Sirtu, min, al-Basra, ila, al-Kufa. So these 5 kalimas, let's go to them one by one. Sirtu, I traveled. When I say that I traveled, so that means you get a message that a word is there which means something, but it is associated with a tense. If I traveled, so it has a tense which is in the past. Min means from. Min means from. Now when I say from, you don't get a complete meaning of anything. But then when I come to the next word, which is al-Basra. Basra means a city. It is the name of a city. Now, when I say Basra, so you don't understand that it is in past tense or future tense or current tense. It doesn't have any tense. For example, if I say Karachi, so he said, Chacha, there was something yesterday. No, it doesn't have tense. If I say London, it doesn't have any tense. If I say South Africa, it does not have any tense because these are nouns. So, sirtu, it is fi'l because it gives its meaning on its own, but it is associated with a tense. Then min, it cannot give its meaning unless I attach it with a fi'l or an ism. So that's why it is harf. Come to the third one, which is al-Basra. Basra is an ism. It gives its meaning on its own without being associated with any tense. Ila, two. Ila means two. Now, ila will not be able to give its meaning on its own if I just bring it alone. But if ila is combined with a whole group, either it has fi'l or ism surrounded with it, so ila will give you a meaning. So ila is a harf, it is a particle. And then Kufa is a city again. So I travel from Basra to Kufa is a combination of all 3 categories of a kalima, so ism, fi'l and harf. So let me explain on the board. Sirtu is a fi'l, min is a harf, al-Basra is a city, and ila is a harf, and Kufa is a city, so thus it is a noun. Basra is a city, thus it is a noun. Now we need to discuss about the definitions. You have understood it. Now we come to the definitions, and definitions are not very hard, very simple. We come types of kalima, ism, fi'l and harf. And then you have the definition of ism. Definition of ism is that kalimah which itself explains its meaning. There is no need to add another word to understand its meaning, and it does not have any tense. For example, kursiyun, rajulun, because if kursi is said, a chair, kursi, so you don't understand past tense or current tense or future tense. So kursiyun does not require any tense. Likewise, rajulun, as we discussed as well, does not require any tense. And then you have definition of fa'il. Fa'il is that kalimah which itself explains its meaning. There is no need to add another word to understand its meaning, and it does not have any present, past or future tense. Same as ism, but the difference is tense. And then you have the definition of harf. Now the definition of harf is that it is such a kalimah that its meaning can only be understood by joining some other word to it. For example, min or ila, meaning it cannot be understood without the addition of an ism or a fa'il. So to summarize the entire episode, we learnt about the types of kalimah. Kalimah has three types: ism, fa'il and harf. Ism is noun, fa'il is verb, harf is particle. Ism, such a kalimah which gives its meaning on its own without being associated with any tense. Fa'il, such a kalimah which gives its meaning on its own, but it is associated with a tense. And harf is a particle. So hope you remember it. There is an exercise for you, and not very long. All you need to do is you need to recognize the ism, fa'il and the harf. First question for you: what is kalimah? How many and which types of kalimah are there? Explain the definition of each one with example. And then you have an entire chart in front of you, and the chart has few words with meanings. You have ghasala, jamalun, baqaratun. So inshallah the whole page will be on your screen. Please write this exercise. You can email it to me inshallah. And remember me in your prayers. See you in the next episode.